Welcome to the Hold the Maneuver podcast. I'm Marc.
And I'm Mike. We're two hardworking dads trying to immerse ourselves in Star Wars and fit it into our very busy lives.
If this is your first time listening, or in this case, watching, in this short-form Star Wars podcast, we'll share our thoughts on different topics from a galaxy far, far away.
Hey, what is Jyn Erso's favorite color?
Has something to do with Stardust, I bet.
I don't know, but I bet it's a Rogue One.
I love that you had the same vocal delivery as the pigeon from An American Tale.
Going deep.
It's my Lady Liberty. Never say never.
All right. Well, so if you guys are watching or listening to this, this week we have a couple of guests, as you may see or hear. So this week we have our returning guest with Trent Vactor.
Hello there.
Welcome.
And then we have a very new guest with podcast royalty, Mr. J. Glatfelter.
I'm so upset he got the hello there, and I'm just. What I got left.
If you're not
I
first,
know.
you're last.
I know. But yes, excited to be here. I don't know about royalty. Just been doing it for way too long.
But
that's what the Queen was doing. I mean,
rest in peace.
Too soon.
So this week we kind of Mike and I introduced this segment last week to kind of incorporate more of the dad element into the podcast. So this segment is called I Am Your Father. And in this segment, we kind of share a few bits of like stories of anything we did dad related from the past week. So with that, you want to start with you, Jay?
Yeah, sure. So I feel like this is an Anakin or Vader dad moment in the sense that I was just being a bad father, because my youngest son, Alex, loves Star Wars. So, I was doing a stream about it for my own channel yesterday, and I needed to watch all three before that stream happened. And since it was like 2 hours of stuff, it was like running up until 8:30 or whatever. And so my youngest was like, "Daddy, can I watch it with you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." But then it's such a dark Star Wars, like when spoiler alert, what's his name gets killed, the boyfriend, the F boy.
Tim.
Tim.
Whatever it is. Double M Tim.
And he gets killed, and then Alex, my youngest, is just like, "Daddy, why is the lady crying?" He's like, "Well, she just lost her friend." And he's like, "Yeah, I guess I would cry if I lost Carson or whatever, like his school friends." I was like, "Yeah, did I just mess up my kid forever?" But anyways, that was my moment.
Would have been like, she deaded him. Yes.
Like I 20 years from now when he's in therapy, like, "Am I dead?" If you watch Andor.
I mean, I guess there could be worse things to be in therapy about. So there's always that.
That's my hope as a father, is whatever my kids do go to therapy for, the stuff they complain about me is like the stupidest stuff ever. That's my hope.
Yeah. Trent, how did you traumatize your young child this week?
Well, I don't know about traumatized, but I have noticed a pattern that has been developing with my son this week. Any type of music, it doesn't matter what genre, it doesn't matter what cadence or whatever, any type of music, my son would just start dancing. Doesn't matter where he's at, he'll be in the middle of the street. If he starts hearing music, he's dancing. So it is very cute and very adorable, but I'm just wondering if I was like that as a kid. I don't remember my parents ever telling me that I just started dancing out of nowhere. But I'm wondering what his musical, what his music story is going to be when he grows up. He's only about 18 months right now, so still in the very young stage. But I see him beating on drums and stuff, and I'm like, oh, is he going to be a drummer? And then I turn around and he's like trying to tap on the keyboard, and I'm like, oh, is he going to be a pianist? But we'll see what happens with
do it all.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
There's some. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
I was going to just say, I don't know if you want to reveal his name, but I will just say that it is a Star Wars related name that he had.
Yes. Ezra Bridger is his name, but without the Bridger.
Oh, dude, that's badass. That's a good Star Wars character name.
That was kind of our geek compromise with my wife. We had a couple names in mind. Oliver was one, and I said, "Yeah, I like Oliver, but how
That was
about
on our list.
Ezra?" So
Nice.
yeah,
Ezra's good. That's awesome. I love that.
Very good. What were you gonna say, Jay?
Oh, I was just gonna say there's something because I'm a musician too, and we have pianos and drums and keyboards and guitars, and I think it's just something about like when you're a certain age, drums is just the thing kids gravitate to. It's just like banging on something.
yeah. I wonder if it's just instinctual, like primal human.
Mhm.
Got to beat on something.
Yep, exactly. And for both of my oldest Zach, his favorite musician is Ringo Starr because he loves
nice.
the Beatles and he loves Ringo. But it's like, wow, I guess Ringo has somebody supporting him.
Nice.
Yeah,
Not
somebody
Paul
I-
anymore, but
If I do my job right, Ezra's favorite musician is going to be Garth from Wayne's World, and he'll just be playing the drum. I like to
Let me tell
play.
you, Garth has some chops because when he takes that drum solo in the first film,
Yeah.
It's all right that he doesn't know the words to Bohemian Rhapsody. But speaking of not knowing the words to Bohemian Rhapsody, Mike.
I know the words.
Yeah.
whoa!
I just wanted to segue it somehow.
Yeah, my story is we booked a trip in November. We're going to Florida, and we decided to drive with a 3-year-old.
Oh no.
Great
Oh, man.
idea.
From New York to Florida, it's going to be like 20 plus hours with a 3-year-old. Why isn't hyperdrive a thing?
Or
man,
at
I
least a
wanna know.
speed rail. That's because my wife's family's in New York, so we drive to New York a lot from Raleigh, North Carolina, which is about Long Island is like 9 hours to get out there. But like a speed rail, just something to get on a train and just like get up there or down in an hour would be amazing.
Yeah.
They keep talking about like building like the bullet trains here in the US too, like to like do like the
Isn't Elon doing that? Or is he just becoming a full-blown supervillain?
It's the same as Twitter. He says he's going to do it, but then it doesn't really follow through.
he's like a Daemon Targaryen to quote a different show.
Oh.
Hi-oh.
So my I guess fatherly story this week is just that my son he's almost 17 now, but like this past year, like he started like his first jobs that he's been hired for and getting paid for and stuff, and he's finally getting to save like his own money and buy his own stuff. He had started at a local kind of like franchisee donut shop like a few months ago, but then this past week or so he started working at Domino's because it's like literally like a 5-minute walk from our house, so he just walks over there, and he's been telling me like some like insider stuff about Domino's where like he's like telling me that it's not actually grease like on the bottom of the box. It's like all the garlic that they put on the like they butter the
Oh, okay.
I thought that was Papa John's.
yeah, but I guess that's what
Wow.
it is. So and
Here's my question: does he like come home with a free pizza every day?
oh yeah, the past few times as long as it's not a large pizza, so anything under a large pizza, he can make whatever he wants and put whatever he wants on it, and that's like he can just have like. So the other day he made one that had like jalapenos, pineapple, bacon, olives,
Marshmallows and anchovies.
yeah. He made the Home Alone pizza.
No, he made a spicy Hawaiian. Is what he
I'm
made.
eating rubbish.
That's spicy because it wasn't. It was a fresh cheese pizza just for me.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and one of the he's bought some weird stuff for himself too. Like like stuff I wouldn't assume that he'd buy for himself either. Like he bought himself a hat that said "The Man, the Legend," and then it had like a fish on it. And I was like, we thought he bought that for my dad, but no, he bought it for himself. And then he bought himself a samurai sword too. I was like, oh, you're gonna be one of those dudes that has like a samurai sword on his wall in his apartment.
That's amazing. Is it
a samurai sword?
Yeah. what I told him that I thought was funny is that it says China on the samurai sword. So I was like, you have a Chinese Japanese sword?
Yeah.
I was
It's
like,
not tough.
Did he put it like above his bed?
no, not yet. He's waiting because we're gonna go to Galaxy's Edge in November, so he's planning to get a lightsaber there too. So he's gonna like kind of layer them on above his TV in his room.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I keep
I'm also
my
planning to get a
Galaxy's Edge lightsaber right here just in case.
Nice.
Just in case I need it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So yeah, those are.
Quick question though. It's so cool because I feel like Mark, I've known you for I don't know, maybe close to 20 years. So it's been neat watching your kid grow up on social media. It's so weird. We're so old now that it's just like, I remember you when you were this small. And I never met him before, but it's just like, it's weird where it's like, I've watched him grow up and I've never had a conversation with him or something.
Oh yeah, and yeah, because I think like Instagram became like a thing like when he was in kindergarten, so it's basically existed through his entire school life, so which is kind of interesting. But yeah, that is kind of fun. Like the same thing with like your kids too. So it is very interesting. But yeah, guys, those are our fatherly "I am your father" stories for this week. And the brief bit of news that we were going to just kind of touch on before we get into speaking about Andor this week was they announced some casting for the Acolyte TV series with Manny Jacinto is going to be joining the show, which they've been announcing a few bits of casting for that. Like he's joining it. I don't remember the name of the actor, but he's like the main character on Squid Game. Also was cast recently for it as well.
Lee Jung Jae.
That's it. But I'm pretty excited about that because I was
Take
a big
your word
fan
for it.
Of The Good Place, so I'm happy to see Manny Jacinto getting more work, and hopefully he doesn't get cut out of it like he did with Top Gun Maverick.
He was in Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah, like he apparently had like a bigger like storyline in that, and like now he's like in like a 3-second shot in the movie, and then if you watch the credits, you'll see him listed there. But
don't remember
whole storyline got cut out. And then the other thing,
appease Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I don't know. He was still at the premiere for that.
His thetan levels were all off, and it just didn't work out.
There you go. He did play a monk on The Good Place, but it was a fake monk, so I don't know if that threw it off. But and the other bit of news before we get into Andor season 1 is just that it was said that Andor season 2 is going to be shooting from November of this year through to August of next year, apparently, and then may take another year of post-production for season 2. So by the showrunner's estimate, that means it likely won't release for season 2 of the show before the fall of 2024. So that basically sounds like we'll get this season of 12 episodes, have a year off, essentially, or basically 2 years, because if it doesn't come back until fall of 2024, until season 2 of Andor. So that is all of the new. Well, all the news recovery.
Wait. Wasn't there also like Rogue Squadron got shelved or whatever too? Wasn't this last week?
Yeah, the Rogue Squadron officially got removed from the schedule. So
yeah,
it didn't quote unquote get canceled, but it also is not on the schedule anymore.
Isn't that like the nice way to be canceled now? It's just like we're just putting it on the shelf.
We might come back to you.
Maybe
right up here.
Just wait there.
But that cool
the car.
That cool short video of you and your rollerblades.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
I don't know. I feel like there's been so many things that have been announced, like just over the past few years, that haven't ultimately happened. That I almost just kind of wish they wouldn't announce some of the stuff until like it was already either filmed or like it was just. It's not really like a good movie to equate it to, just because it wasn't a good movie. But like that Cloverfield Paradox movie, where like, oh, surprise, here's this movie. It's available on Netflix today, and like nobody knew that movie existed before that. So like if they could do something like that with the Star Wars like TV show or movie, they could get away with that too, because we'd all go see that movie without a trailer, be like, oh, it's Star Wars, I'll go see that. So
yeah, but you got to get the clicks and the likes and all that stuff. So
it is fake. Because even the fact that these are like the first 3 episodes, it was like one cohesive story. It could have been a movie that I would have paid a ticket to see in a theater and then watched us on TV or something. Like the whole Disney Plus angle is weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually how this season is going to be too, and season 2, where it's like each 3 episodes are kind of a 3-act structure to them, whereas like this. So I've read like this season is all set 5 years before Rogue One.
Yep.
And then season 2, each 3 episodes is another year leading up to it. Whereas like the finale of season 2 is basically going to be like 2 or 3 minutes before Rogue One starts.
Okay.
It should be interesting to see like how the ultimately lines up. Like we'll probably, like, spoiler alert to Rogue One, I guess if you haven't seen it, but we'll probably like meet that dude that he ends up shooting at the beginning of Rogue One, and like fall in love with that character and everything, and then be like, no, Cassian, you're gonna shoot that guy. Be like, no, don't do it.
I don't know. He kind of, in fairness, like he seemed kind of annoyed by him by the time he killed him in Rogue One. So
he's like, yeah,
I don't know how good that friendship's gonna be. He's like, of course you can't walk.
But a nice segue from that is to get straight into this season premiere of Andor, and where he kind of did this. He kind of did the same thing here, like to start off the episode. I guess what I'll kind of do here too is I'll kind of like initiate like some stuff to talk about, and then I'll let you guys kind of take it as is with like what you want to specifically talk about, or not as like a straight up recap of each episode, but kind of the highlights of what we remember from each of them, and like what we enjoyed the most from it. So like this first episode, Cassian Andor has this basically search that he's doing for answers about his past, which ultimately ends up with like this inciting incident, which makes him a wanted man.
Inciting incident.
Yeah, screenwriting 101. And one of the things I thought was cool, at least on here too, is that we got the BBY on screen for this.
God.
The 5 years of the battle before Yavin.
Quick
I had
question.
explained that to my wife. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, as are probably the nerd representatives for all of our families and friends, did you get like 100 questions like, what's BBY? And then you had to like give a whole explanation.
Yeah.
I got like at least 6 or 7 texts about it. BBY mean?
Which is interesting because they've never used it before, like on screen. It's always been kind of like within like their, like those visual dictionary books that they release and stuff like that. But it's never been something that's been straight up on screen. And like, because like they could have even done that with Obi-Wan, where it said 10 years. Like, what did it say? Like 10 years later? I don't remember if it said 10 years later or 10 years before, like after like the recap.
Yeah.
But like, I guess even either way on that, because it was right in the middle, they could have just said like 10 years BBY or something like that. But I thought that was interesting. Now, we've also heard like that this show won't have like a lot of, like built-in Easter eggs into it and whatnot. But one of the, I think I said, I don't remember who I said this to, but I thought it was funny that they worked in this very subtle kind of audio Easter egg to Revenge of the Sith.
Send it to me.
Okay. So like when Padme is giving birth to Luke and Leia, the robot droid nurse there is going Ooba, Ooba, which I apparently supposed to mean push. When Andor,
it's fitting for what the sound comes for in this show.
Yeah. So yeah, when Andor's walking through, I guess the blue light district of Space Amsterdam, which is Marlana One, uh, he hears, or we hear that coming from like one of those like bubble domes. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting reuse of that audio. But I thought that was kind of funny.
Who's to say those droids weren't built for other purposes?
Oh,
So
Ooh. Yeah, it's good to know because I did the Uba thing when my wife was giving birth, and she
She's like, yeah.
It's like, shut up.
So like, I guess starting with Jay, like what were some of your favorite things from like this beginning sequence of the show that's kind of shot very like film noir, kind of Blade Runner esque almost with Cassian.
It felt so Blade Runner. I love how it kind of becomes full circle where, you know, the original Star Wars showed like the space being dirty and lived in. And then, you know, Ridley Scott is inspired by that for Alien. And then you have Blade Runner, which just kind of continues that on. And then Blade Runner is like now directly influencing Star Wars with this kind of opening sequence. So I really dug that. I really dug the opening. I dug that we got like our first like a brothel. Like Star Wars is so sexless, so it's awesome. We got our first brothel, and it just set the tone right off the bat that this is not the Disney-fied Star Wars, and sex work is real work. So I absolutely loved this opening sequence.
There's always hinted at sex work in Star Wars, but it's never full blown been like, it's here.
Yeah. Yeah, like with the Twi'leks.
It was a classy joint too. This wasn't like some low rent place. This was top level.
You pay at the end.
And then we'll go to Vactor next. What did you think of like this whole like kind of opening sequence to the series?
Yeah, this is a great set the tone type of thing where we wanted to know what this was. I didn't get any of the screeners, so this is my first time watching these, and just wondering what is the Andor show going to be. We heard this announced years ago, and even Diego Luna tweeted, you know, what was it, like 4 years ago this was announced?
Yeah, 2018.
And this is something that we've all been waiting for. And so to get this opening scene and to say, oh yeah, this is dark, this is gritty, this is Blade Runner, that just, it made me happy watching it. But it was also kind of just a relief of 4 years of just wondering and kind of expectations of what is this going to be. So finally to get it out there and to see it, it was just, this is good. This is going to be a fun ride.
Definitely.
Love that.
And how about you, Mike?
I couldn't agree more. I was huge fan of Rogue One, was excited for this to come out, and was worried that it would be Disney-fied, I guess, to steal the term. And the fact that it was dark and like sex workers, brothels, I was like, where are we? This isn't Disney. And like, it was just like, I was happy. Like, thank you for not being all bubbly about this story.
I mean, Mark, you'll be able to confirm, but I believe they're adding that space to Galaxy's Edge. I'm pretty sure.
Or I think it's going to be added as an experience to the Galactic Star Cruiser, since you have to pay so much for that. They figure like we'll throw that in now. Comes with it.
I mean, hell, you're dropping what, $6,000 for like a night? So I mean, hell, might as well.
Yeah, people probably drop $6,000 for that for a night. Other places on Earth, so they'll probably. It's, you know, might as well get it Star Wars themed.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Everything goes in Florida.
Yeah,
it's true.
Or maybe they'll have to build a Galactic Star Cruiser in Nevada or something.
Just go 3 miles off the coast. Anything goes.
Now, like in here too, like in this, like the first episode, we got these flashbacks to Kassa on Canary as when he was a child. And one of the things I thought in here too is is it almost seemed like the entire tribe was made up of kids, right?
Yeah. Very Lord of the
So
Flies.
I'm sure there's more of like a backstory to that, and like whatever happened with the adults there, and like maybe like that.
They're probably slaves in the mining colony.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe like that
logical
mining,
guess.
like they were the kids of the mining colony. Something happened there because they said there was.
Was it like 2 episodes later? They said there was like some accident when Marva was looting the ship that everyone had left. So after the accident, so they must have been left behind or something.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we'll see more of that, because the other vibe I got was like it's like one of those like tribes that like had no contact with like the outside world, like that. Sometimes you see photos of, and like when they see like
Sure,
like
yeah,
a airplane or helicopter, I mean they might know what the heck that is.
Yeah.
Well, you notice. I was going to say, there's very little technology. There's no droids running around.
Yeah.
That ship is the only type of sci-fi or space thing that you see. Everything feels just very real world and tribal in that scene.
But
yeah, just further in the notes, it reminded me of Avatar. Like you got these people coming into you, the natives are like, "No, this is our planet," and
but the one that at least what kind of like, okay, these must be, or it's very Lord of the Flies, is they're mostly kids, but they were like everything they had was basically parts of a civilization left behind. Like their clothes were like worker clothes that they just kind of fashioned in a way. It wasn't like any of their stuff was made from wood or like a true, to your point, like an uncontacted tribe or something. But all their stuff was like just piecemeal, probably from whatever was left behind, which made me
I assume they've been like stealing it from those people and repurposing it.
Or if they were just, I don't know, maybe I don't know. The whole sequence of the 3 episodes really, the whole arc was really good for the Canary backstory. So who knows if we go back to it, but it was a fascinating. Again, this show is giving us looks into the Star Wars universe we haven't gotten, and I found it very fascinating.
Well, what did you guys think about not having subtitles on that?
I loved
leave it up to your interpretation.
I loved it. I'm glad they didn't show us what they were saying, because it just made it that much more like powerful in my mind.
To counterpoint that, what did you think of them actually putting the Arabush translation on screen in this for us? Like later on in the episode.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
I think that was
mostly didn't notice, I guess.
because like Gilroy wanted to get like whatever that text was across, but he also assumed probably not everybody knows Orabash. So he was like, well, outside of having someone read off this entire screen, so I thought that was interesting that they kind of had that graphic on there, because I mean later they do have like somebody read off like all of like Cassian's like offenses off of that screen later.
Right, and that's how they usually handle it.
Yeah,
in Star Wars, they usually just have people reading it.
I didn't even notice they showed it, so that's something that slipped my view.
It's a great call, because you're right, it usually is, and it never clicked with me when I saw it, that it wasn't in Arabash. So that's crazy.
Yeah,
the first time we've had English.
I think so.
I guess in the Star Wars universe, basic.
Yes.
And so like one of the other things in here too is that the character Cyril,
right? Yeah.
Cyril. I like to
Cyril Karn. So
AKA the worst.
Oh yeah, I do not like this dude. But when I saw him at first, I thought like I knew it wasn't Ewan Rahan, the guy. Like I don't know if you guys have seen like Misfits, or he was also on Game of Thrones. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, like I thought like he and this actor Kyle Soller looked like a lot alike. He was also in the ABC Inhumans TV show too. But I just
See, I saw him on the red carpet, so I knew that it wasn't him. It wasn't the
Yeah.
Game of Thrones guy, but yeah, I could see that. They definitely look alike.
Yeah,
He
like
reminded me of someone, but I can't think of the name. But I haven't seen Game of Thrones or Misfits, so yeah,
it's great.
never watched an episode. Afraid to start because of all the reviews I've heard. I don't want to be disappointed.
Mark, is there like an eject button on this?
Bye. See you later.
But yeah, out of those shows, I think I would at least recommend like the first 3 seasons definitely of the UK TV show Misfits. But yeah, anyways, that's who I thought of immediately when I saw this guy. But yeah, like even throughout like these first 3 episodes of it, some of the stuff that stood out to me, it was just like all that stuff with him and like, oh, like he's like trying way too hard. Like he has that conversation with his boss earlier, like in the first episode.
His boss is just like, I don't want to do paperwork. Stop.
He's like, yeah, don't
That's
do it.
great.
These guys are jerks.
Yeah, exactly. They probably push too far, whatever. And like we all know what's the name? Cyril, whatever his name is. We all know a Cyril in our lives, and they're the worst.
I saw
That
some
scene
tweet that
is
said
great.
that. Oh yeah, go ahead. Vactor.
I was going to say that scene is great as an introduction for his
Yes.
character. The way that they set him up, just all the details of he altered his suit. He put the piping on. All of those things were just like fantastic story, just bits of
That's why
story.
it makes me think he's going to come back later as a reference to something in one of the films. It's like he trained stormtroopers or some stupid, like he's the first stormtrooper that wasn't a clone, or I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that Empire ties in.
Yeah, I saw some tweet that said this would be the guy that would consider going to the bathroom on company time, wage theft.
Yeah, he's Dwight. He's Dwight Schrute.
I was just going to say that. He's a more extreme Dwight.
Right.
Yeah, and like this whole this whole company that they work for too, they're not like straight up the Empire. They're like Empire adjacent. They're essentially like this
They're subcontractors.
Like
I believe I called them the Gestapo in my review of it. So
yeah,
they're like,
yeah, you got stormtroopers, you got to have Gestapo too.
You have the army, then you have the police.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't even give them like that much credit. They seemed like I don't know, like freaking like, or at least in my profession, like there's so many. Or at least I see you subcontract out, and they're just not. They would aspire to be clone troopers or whatever. But they're just more bumbling.
It kind of reminds me of like usually the like the security guards that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say mall cops. I was just gonna say that.
Like Paul Blart could probably do a better job than Cyril.
Right? Exactly. Not to circle it back to Dwight, but it was like drug testing when he's in the volunteer sheriff's,
Yeah.
outfit.
And I don't remember what the character's name is, but it's just like he gave me I don't remember what the actor who played Peter Pettigrew. I remember what the actor's name is.
Yeah, Wormtongue or not Wormtongue?
Yeah, or man, what's his name? What's his name?
Oh, that guy.
What's his name? Timothy Spall.
Yeah.
I looked up Enchanted to find him because I figured I would be able to find him the quickest on that. Yeah, he basically plays Peter Pettigrew in Enchanted too. But yeah, this guy was like very Timothy Spall-esque, but he seemed almost worse than Cyril in a way, because like he was like an older generation kind of guy, and like he was trying like even harder than Cyril to like be like on top of all this stuff, and also seemed like I don't know. If like he was in the real world, he'd be like definitely like a very like he'd be one of those people that was like very, very far right kind of person. That's like the vibe I was getting from this guy, or that he'd have like a Punisher like sticker on the back of his car or something like that.
Oh God.
You're talking about that Scottish dude who was just like
The Scottish
fat
dude,
guy?
definitely, yeah.
I think
Just
that's the guy I'm talking about.
the Punisher symbol with the blue stripe, and I was like, ugh, all right, cool.
But in yeah, but yeah, I think that like those two together, I think were just like they were just making
They
me
amped
like,
each
mad.
other up. They were like the worst for each
Yeah.
other.
Now I guess we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but like was there like anything that like stood out like an episode in this first episode besides some of the stuff we brought up already to either of you?
The
like
fact that it takes droids a lot of power to lie, apparently. Like, didn't expect that. I was just kind of like, oh, I got to power down to lie this much.
Oh yeah, and B2 emo is awesome.
I
And
love him.
Also,
I love him.
B2 emo was my nickname in high school.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think you were that emo. There's some far worse emos in our high school.
That's true. But
I mean, isn't it just high school in general? Like, I just feel like it's
well, especially for like all our age group.
Yeah,
I mean, Dashboard Confessional was number one on the radio when we were in high school. So
vindicated.
But was there anything else that like stood out to you, Jay or Vactor?
The only thing that stood out to me, besides just getting to know all the characters and setting up the story, was kind of a weird ending point.
Yeah.
And the 3 episodes where they chose to chop up each episode and to say, it was basically just like, oh, here's 35 minutes. All right, let's cut it right here.
Yep.
And I think it would have been better to release it just as a big movie.
Agreed.
Like Jay said, I would have seen this in the theater.
Released these 3 at one time rather than parsed out
week to week.
But I gotta tell you, Mark, it's concerning. I didn't realize you said apparently everyone's gonna be like 3 because from this point on it's just gonna be 1 episode. So if like next week ends at a really weird spot, it's like, ugh, like the first 3 just felt like, okay, here's credits for no good reason. Like,
right.
Let's go to the next thing.
Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what I had to like have.
No,
like,
I have
seen.
taken it into like this is canon now, Mark.
It is law.
Right. Well, let me say some other stuff that I can will into existence.
Yeah,
you're
Clone
right.
Wars was like that too.
That is very Clone Wars, but that was one of the most annoying things about Clone Wars, or just like jump and wait, where are we? Well, you see, I thought it would be cool if we did our stories non-linearly. I'm like, oh god.
Well, isn't it like the 3rd season of this or whatever? They're going to go like these 2 episodes are 1 year, then we're going 5 years in the future, then 4 more years in the future.
Yeah,
and not explain it, but okay.
Although which is at least with this, they'll probably have like the whatever BBY on screen for us.
True.
So it'll be like, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this is very House of the Dragon, which is Mike, you'd love that. Another game.
I know what it is.
Some hot
just
deep.
Jumping around with the time. It's like, oh wait, here's a baby. Oh wait, that baby's 2 years old in the next episode. All right, now he's grown up. All right, I don't know what's going on. Where's the timeline?
I've been okay with that so far. Better than the time jumping towards the end of Game of Thrones, but
oh right, yeah.
Again, Mike, cover your ears. Grown-ups.
I won't remember.
Oh, and one of the other things I thought was kind of cool. I mean, this isn't like in your face like Easter egg kind of stuff, like how Easter eggs are supposed to be. That's why they're like called Easter eggs, because they're supposed to be like tough to find. But is like the pod racer engines that you can see like Vix, working on. I mean, not necessarily working on, but they're like just kind of like skewed about like in that whole area there.
Aren't they a salvage yard? So she was probably dismantling it or something.
Yeah, like that whole planet, or it seemed like it was just like one
just
big
a giant salvage yard.
Yeah, which like we've seen planets similar to that in the Bad Batch, and then on like the Jedi Fallen Order video game. But I'm pretty sure it's not that same planet. So it is kind of interesting to like see some of that in here too. Also, that dude that rings the bell in these episodes, that dude, I wish I loved my job as much as that guy loves his job. He's like he gets his earplug headphones on so that he doesn't go deaf. And then he's just like, all right, psyching himself up. Then he's like, all right, here we go. And then he just starts going at it. So I just
From the
like
trailer, I did not expect the bell ringer to. I thought he was going to have like a different role for some reason.
I feel like we found Ezra Vactor's future.
Yeah.
Bell ringer.
when he needs to wake you and your wife up and just come in there and be like, all right, all right, getting psyched up, and then he's like,
Yeah.
like, wake up, Dad.
It is very telling though that job is being done by a human and not a droid for that planet. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too. Like it's definitely a very like blue collar esque planet with like everyone just basically like goes to like their like factory kind of assembly line job and whatnot.
Was the shot of the wall of gloves supposed to be anything other than a shot of wall of gloves? That's what
I don't think
that's where they put their gloves when they're not working, or is that like the people that died while working? Like
that's I couldn't figure that out. I was just like, they showed this. Seems like it's supposed to be important.
It's symbolic of the fragility of life and the many different gloves that we wear throughout them. And
except they all grab the same pair every day.
That's part of the theming and stuff. We all wear the same gloves in life. I don't know. So kind of going to episode 2, the second episode was Cassian attempted to like lay low on Ferrix as like these agents came in. And in this we see more of the flashbacks, and what I thought was kind of cool too, like today being September 22nd is kind of good for this, is that it was very reminiscent to me of like how they layered in flashbacks in Lost with these were very thematically tied into like the rest of like what was going on in the episode. So I thought that was great, especially how like when it started mirroring stuff that was going on near the end of the episode as well. I really enjoyed that. So I liked how they did that, and especially because they don't really do flashbacks too often in
Star Wars.
Star Wars, and they kind of segued it in, or like slid it in through that first episode by kind of framing it as being a dream, but then they kind of just cut back to it through like these second, third episodes. So I thought that was kind of like an interesting narrative device to how to use these flashbacks too. And I liked how it cut back from Marva in like the 5 BBY time to like back to Kassa as a kid with her on screen, or like I would show like B2 emo like back then, or like basically brand new, all shiny red paint, working just fine, and then go back to now he's like all scuffed up and beat up and stuff. So I thought that was interesting as well too. Was there go ahead?
No, it was very Lost-esque. I loved how the stories paralleled each other, and then they kind of the episode 3 ended with it kind of in the same place in a similar way. But the Lost thing, what I loved about Lost is it gave you it was like, okay, I know there's a flashback coming, and here there's a few times like, wait, oh, okay, all right, this is the past. There's a few. I was just like, I felt like it needed some type of like sometimes, or they'll change the color of like the filters or something.
Oh yeah, so it's like slightly different saturation.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a blue saturation or something. It just needed something a little bit more to like. Maybe I'm just old now, but it's like I need something to just we've changed times.
I'm confused. Damn it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, keep changing it back to like 20 BBY, 5 BBY, 20 BBY.
Maybe, I don't know.
Marc,
I just thought for this whole flashback thing, like she just kidnaps him. Just flat out, it's like, you're coming with me because everyone's going to die here. But then they don't die.
It wasn't episode 3 that she kidnapped him. Was it? And did that happen in 2?
Oh, yeah.
It started in 2 and finished in 3, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because he's destroying the ship that they...
It should have just been a damn movie because I don't know what is in the episode.
What were you saying?
Kidnapping in the Star Wars universe.
I'm surprised you didn't mention who the Marva actor was.
Oh, Petunia Dursley.
Yeah,
Harry
because you had mentioned Peter Pettigrew.
Harry Potter.
But she gets to be a good. Aunt. She gets to be a good guy now, so that's exciting.
I loved Marva.
She just kidnapped a kid.
He was fantastic.
And that was what was great about this episode. Episode 2, we're talking about. That would be me. Yeah. The cast expands in this one, and you meet Marva. You meet all of these different people that are going to become part of the full cast, and just continue to spread all of these great actors out.
I'm trying to remember, was Skarsgård? Did he show up in the second episode? Okay,
he lands on the planet in this one.
Yeah, he's on the train with that guy who's complaining about how they gouge you.
Yeah. I guess we go ahead.
I was saying we've all traveled with that guy where it's just like, I just want to like sit on this plane and not talk to anybody, but sure, let's have a conversation.
That's me at work. People will try to talk to me. I will have my headphones on and they will try to talk to me and have a conversation. I'm like, do you not see my headphones on? I don't want to talk to you.
Crazy weather we're having, eh?
Like, nope. Yeah. I love that dude. I was like, he didn't like take the hint at all from him.
Those people don't. That's the whole thing.
They don't. Yeah, it's very real world. It's very realistic.
This was also the episode where we got the Cyril speech, his inspirational speech,
where he wasn't really like ready for it. Like our Peter Pettigrew stand-in dude did his whole speech and was like, which back to the Dwight thing, like that reminded me of like when Dwight's doing
his award acceptance speech where he's like pounding on the
which was also the same episode where he's like, we need a new plague. There's too many people in this world.
I gotta say, another connection that I'm surprised Marc didn't make, the Peter Pettigrew guy, his name is Alex Ferns. Sergeant Caustic is his character on Andor, but he was Commissioner Pete Savage in The Batman. I'm surprised you didn't mention that.
Oh.
Obviously,
I didn't recognize him.
He shaved him. Yeah, he shaved the beard off.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the commissioner from The Batman.
Wait.
The Batman.
Like the R-Pats? The R-Bats one?
Yes. Mm-hmm. He was the commissioner who got killed.
Wait, really?
Spoiler alert.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, it just connected. Okay. Yep.
Mind blown on camera.
It happened in real time.
Yeah, his beard definitely covered up his true identity.
It's a very similar. Like, kudos to the actor. Like he has,
he has a different accent.
He has his role,
and he does it well.
Yeah.
Very much. I guess from there, like the other thing we can do is go to episode 3 is like to round it out. Cassian's desperation to avoid arrest leads him to a mysterious man with unknown connections, which, as we said, is Luthen Rael, who is played by Skarsgård. And I liked in this episode, I liked that whole scene with them, like the whole like back and forth.
Yes.
And basically, like Luthen kind of like testing Cassian out to see if he basically would be a good fit for joining them up. And I liked. I usually put like a quote from like whatever we're covering into like the show notes for the episodes, and I think the one that I put in for this was the "Don't you want to fight these bastards for real?" I liked that, like the whole thing in there too, where like he was talking to Cassian basically about like the rules of don't bring anything in that you can't control, and plan your exit as you come in. So I thought that was pretty cool to see that in here, and I'm looking forward to more of this. This back.
You
and
chose
forth.
such a better quote than me.
What was yours?
Shit.
Oh yeah. Well, it is kind
It's
of funny.
now in the Star Wars universe. Like, you can say it.
Yeah, that's not.
We haven't
like,
had shit yet?
I don't think so. I just remember I forgot who Marc said's wife was in an extra in Obi-Wan, and she was like, Deborah Chow kept saying cunt because someone was saying dude all the time, because dude's not a Star Wars word, but shit's okay.
Yeah,
It is now.
Our friend Rob's wife was in the Obi-Wan series as like a background extra, and I guess O'Shea Jackson kept saying dude, or O'Shea Jackson Jr. not Ice Cube Jr. Kept saying dude, kept
Crushed
saying
ice.
dude. Christ ice. But yeah, I thought like that whole. I think that's funny, like how shit is now in the Star Wars lexicon of words. I don't know if anybody else can hear it, but my Sylvie is speaking up about like her whole thoughts on that word within the Star Wars universe as well. But I don't know. In this last signal, I was reading off something as I was saying something. In this last episode, was there was anything that was like kind of like your favorite bit from this like last episode at all, Vactor?
Well, the guard trying to get away, and they had tied the thing to the ship, and he just
that was pretty cool.
That was the whole battle sequence was great.
Yes.
But also the tying of the flashback, where it was just building upon the momentum of the second episode. And then in the third one, it was like, oh, now these are directly where they were just kind of shadowing each other. Now it's like, oh, these are directly butting up against each other. Like, oh, she was looking at him in the flashback and he was looking at her and then I went cross-eyed like that. The meeting of the two was cool. Yep. So yeah, I think the battle was the big thing in the third episode, but for me, it was the timelines coming together. That was the coolest part.
Yeah, I really liked that mirroring of like him basically coming together with Marva and leaving the planet that he had known, juxtaposed with leaving this planet that he was now living on, leaving Marva behind, going off on this new path into like the unknown of whatever that may hold for him at this point in time too.
Yeah, and knowing his future, it's like I think we know this probably the last time he ever sees this place.
Yeah, possibly. The kind of random question I had for this too is like, if Cyril, this is why Cyril's the worst. If Cyril had never gone after Cassian for all this, would the end result have still been? Or I guess this is not.
You should like Cyril for this.
Yeah, maybe this is why we should like Cyril. If Cyril had never gone after Cassian, would the end result have still been a blown up Death Star? Because if they had just like like left like let things like slide, would Cassian still have ultimately like joined the Rebel Alliance, you think, or do you think that would have like diverged him off on somewhere else?
I think Luthen would have convinced him either way. The added pressure probably helped, but he was clearly searching for something, and I think Luthen could have convinced him. That's why Luthen went there anyway, regardless of Cyril pursuing him. And Cassian assumed the people would chase him, so he was doing all these events regardless of if the corporate police would be coming after him. So I think Cyril's Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark in this situation where the events would happen regardless of that being there.
Yeah. It's a nice reference for that. And speaking of the, I don't remember which one of you said it, but with the sabotaging of the ship, I think that's a very slight nod to, or it might be, to American Graffiti, George Lucas's film, where like they do that to like the axle of a vehicle and that, and like pull it off of a car in that. So it's almost like,
Yeah, and it's a
like
police car too.
Okay, yeah. So it's almost, it probably,
Haven't seen that in a long time, so I don't remember.
but yeah. And then like the other kind of stuff I liked in this last of the 3 episodes we got, is wondering what's going to happen to like that Imperial tracker that Cassian had.
That's what I was wondering.
And because it seems like that's not just going to be like something that's like left behind story wise. Like it seems like it was like a big thing for it, and the fact that it was left behind, I feel like either Cyril maybe finds that and something with that happens, or maybe like Bix gets it or something else there. But I feel like that's definitely going to come back at some point or another in this season.
Yeah, I just like how this episode had so many more questions to keep you engaged as you go on.
Yeah.
And the one I wasn't brought up yet is, who's Bix going to blame for Tim's death, even though he deserved it? Like,
he deserved it for sure.
Who's she going to blame? Like Cassian or the Authority?
Yes. What did Cassian do? He didn't do it.
They were there because of him. Like,
exactly. And she was just using him anyway. He was just he was an F boy. He wasn't like a real boyfriend.
I'm a real boy. Was there anything else that stood out to you in that last episode, Vactor?
No, I think just when I finished the episode, it was like, okay, we are in good hands. I think this series is going to be very good. And I've seen the most positive response out of this one, out of any of the Star Wars shows, where people are saying, oh, this is like a drama and just happens to be in the Star Wars universe. Like, there's no Jedi, there's no lightsabers, there's no Force. So I think this is a much needed corner of the Star Wars universe that we're exploring now, and I just can't wait to see what the next episode has in store for us.
Definitely.
Lightsabers, Force.
Yeah. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me. I guess taking from what Vactor said, going to Jay and then Mike, what do you guys want to see throughout the rest of, like, maybe like the next episode and then the season in general?
Well, I will say just more of what we've gotten. I feel like these first 3 episodes were great. But again, I also want to say I loved Obi-Wan. I love Book of Boba Fett, maybe not so much, but there was still good stuff in there, and Mandalorian's amazing. So, like, I am thankful this. I mean, the fandom menace will complain or find something to complain about this.
No matter what.
Yes. So screw them. But I think this show is doing what I think a lot of us have wanted, just something and why we love Rogue One is just like, it's a Star Wars story that doesn't involve a Skywalker, damn it.
Well, Rogue One ended up having 2 Skywalkers in it. But
I think that was thrown in there for...
Yeah.
Because the movie would have been the same without it. Like,
But
that was almost like the stitching.
That I loved about Last Jedi and Rian Johnson of just like, you need to get over this Skywalker drama. Let's do something else. And that's what I did appreciate about that movie, that I think a lot of people rebelled against it. And it was like, well, you got Rise of Skywalker, and that was so.
Yep.
And then, Mike, was there anything else that that you wanted to say
I
about?
echo Jay's points, to basically to the T. What I'm looking forward to is Cassian's sister. What's the story there? Like, how's that going to play out? Because he's looking for her, so she's out there. That's kind of his main motive, it felt like, is finding his sister, and everything else is just ancillary to fund finding his sister. Right. So, and the flashbacks. I love a good flashback, so I hope they keep those going.
Yeah, I think we'll get more of those just because I do remember something in one of those first trailers from that planet where like the Star Destroyer flew over them. So I think we might see more of that unless that whole bit got cut out of maybe like the flashbacks, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I think that'll wrap us up for this season premiere of Andor. So thank you guys for listening. Leave us a review on the podcast catcher of your choice if it allows you to do so. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to. It helps us out a lot. If you can find the show on social media on Twitter, on Instagram at HoldaPod. If you look on Facebook and YouTube for the Hold a Maneuver podcast, you can find us there. Individually on Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Marc Vibbert, so it's just my first and last name, MarcVibbert, and then Mike.
Yeah, just search my name, Michael Sawran. Last name not spelled how it sounds. It's Sawran. And if you find someone without a middle name, that's not me. That's some racist jagoff.
That's the worst. You have a racist counterpart? I'm sorry.
My dad. He is unknowingly racist and doesn't believe me when I call him out on it.
Yeah. Sorry, my friend.
It is what it is.
And then Jay, where can they find you online?
Not my fight.
Geek Dad Life. You have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/geekdadlife. Instagram Geek Dad Life is my current social media stuffs. Let's check it out.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
A lot of toys, mainly toys, but I do TV and film review on Geek Dad Life 2, which is the second channel on YouTube's.
Highly recommended. And then Vactor.
I am my last name Vactor on most places, and you can also find me talking about comic books on the Comic Book Kaiju podcast, which Mr. Vibbert has joined several times, talking about She-Hulk. So check that out wherever you check out your podcast or on YouTube.
Oh yeah. And then She-Hulk is great. And then you guys can email us at holdapod@gmail.com if you want to email us. But as always, we are grateful to George Lucas for creating the Star Wars universe.
Ooh, thank the maker.